Hi everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to my room, guys. I hope you are doing well today. Today we're going to be tackling the inevitable type, the most inevitable type in the life of the INFJ, and that is, of course, the ENFP. So before I move on, just remember that you can get my book on the INFJ, The Ecstatic Soul. All the links below. Bestseller. Check the reviews. And The Infinite Castle, my new novel. Relatively new. Rumor has it main characters in INFJ. If you're interested in an exploration at the fictional level of this wonderful type, the alienated version that is, check it out. Also links below, and you can support me on Patreon. Anywhere from €3 a month really supports the channel. Thank you. So how do INFJs see ENFPs? Well, I mean, the first thing that I want to say, because yesterday I released a video on the ENTP, is that on average, overall, INFJs have a better opinion of ENFPs than they do of ENTPs. I think that's not easy. That's not hard, rather, to determine, to say. It's in some sense paradoxical because the ENFP doesn't have any functions in common with the INFJ. Also, that the ENTP does have functions in common with the INFJ, namely FE and TI. Problem is, of course, a lot of ENTPs, particularly immature ones, particularly ENTPs online, don't have well integrated FE, and that causes huge problems with the INFJ. It's also to be remembered that the ENFP is a close cousin to the INFJ in other ways. Not in terms of the kinds of functions that are operative in their stack, but in the kind of hierarchy of functions that the ENFP displays. Because if you look at it closely, they do display an NFTS hierarchy. And what is the only other type of the 16 types that displays an NFTS hierarchy? The INFJ. So only the INFJ and the ENFP know what it feels like to be a dominant intuitive with auxiliary feeling, tertiary thinking, and inferior sensing. That's not to be ignored. Because they have dominance and E, their FI, albeit quite present, tends to be more malleable than the INFP's FI, a little bit less rigid, a little bit less intransigent, you might say, and that tends to jive very well with the INFJ's NI and the INFJ's FE as well, because in the sense the INFJ's FE is also more malleable than the ENFJ's FE, for instance. So you have an interaction between NI and NE, where you do get the best of both worlds, and an interaction between FI and FE, which can clash, of course, and the clashes between INFJs and ENFPs can happen, where there is still more malleability than you would find either with the ENFJ's FE or with the INFP's FI, because in this case the functions are dominant. You could say, well, okay, but isn't this intransigence, this rigidity, transferred to the INFJ's NI versus the ENFP's NE? But we're talking about functions of perception here, not functions of judgment. What Jung calls irrational functions. These functions are, by nature, by essence, exploratory functions. They're not rigid. I mean, they have some sort of rigidity which is intrinsic to anything having a full-blown identity and being able to, distinguish this function as that function. Of course, they are what they are by virtue of what they do. They're not completely open, they're not completely malleable, otherwise they would dissolve. But insofar as they are functions of perception, they're more malleable, more open to the other than functions of judgment. So the fact that they're dominant doesn't change that. So they're able to bring each other the best of both worlds, and same for FE and FI. And you could also argue both, again for FI and TI and TE. So the NE of the ENFP comes across as more playful than the NE of the ENTP. Not that the NE of the ENTP doesn't come across as playful, but sometimes it can come across as a bit more solipsistic. like playing with itself, playing with itself, trolling. Which is why, in some sense, the ENFP is really a key partner in growth for the INFJ, because there's a lot of potential in that relationship for mutual growth, but it has a certain seamlessness and ease of getting into it than with the ENTP or the INFP. There is lots of potential with the NTP, ultimately, probably as much potential as there is with the ENFP. There is huge potential with the INFP, at least as much as there is with the ENFP. But both in the case of the NTP and in the case of the INFP, if you like, that potential is sometimes hard to reach because there's a long way in, and it's arduous. You really need to discover someone who's very other, before you can get to the juice, so to speak. With the ENFP, the process of surmounting the other is just a little bit less difficult. Things just tend to click more easily. Both types see the other almost immediately as a natural partner. I mean, this is something that's, that kind of chemistry is something that you see a lot in the case of ENFPs and INFJs, and that exists for a reason. And INFJs feel that. INFJs feel the ease of chemistry. They feel the potential for growth, and as a result, can't lie. INFJs tend to have very positive opinion of ENFPs, and vice versa. ENFPs tend to have a very good opinion of INFJs, which is why you'll see ENFPs often present on INFJ video comment sections, and vice versa. It's because both types have a very positive opinion of the other. And at the moment in my life, at this particular juncture, I can actually observe that I don't have an INFP, or an ENFP that I talk to often. It's just not that juncture, and I can really sense the lack. There's something missing there, and not to say that my life is not going well. I mean, it is going well, particularly at the moment. I feel good, and I'm surrounded by great people. But the fact that there is no ENFP there, just the lack of it, once you've tasted it, makes itself felt. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think, if you agree with me on this. Looking forward to seeing your inputs, and especially whether you agree. Okay, so let me know in the comments, guys, and I will talk to you at the weekend, perhaps through a short before that. Don't forget to support me on Patreon. Really helps the channel. Give me a thumbs up. See you soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.